Good afternoon. My name is Edward Hertzman, CEO and founder of Athletech News. Krystal, really grateful for you to be joining me today. I know we don't get to see you a lot out there in the media, so super excited to have this one-on-one time to talk to you and about Tonal. So let's get right into it. You took over as CEO earlier this year. It was in conjunction with a $130 million capital raise. At that time, Tonal's major priority was profitability. You talked about that. As we approach the end of the year, where is Tonal on the road to being cash flow positive?
That's great. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here today. And hello to the audience out there. Thanks for taking a little time to hear about Tonal. Thanks for starting with this great question. Yeah, we raised 130 million back in April. I'm happy to report we are well on track on a great journey toward the key milestones that we talked about. So the world is different than it was before. There's much more of an emphasis everywhere on achieving profitability, which really just means I think it's really all about long-term sustainability, right? So that if you get to a low cash burn and you are profitable, it just means that you are earning the right to kind of live a long, productive life as a company, right? And it just gives you more degrees of freedom. So we've been very much focused on that as a milestone for the business and just completely shifting our business model. So we have very much been successful at doing that. I can't really reveal our financials because we're a private company, but we're feeling great about the path that we're on to achieve profitability. We're also seasonal. I will say we're a seasonal business. So every quarter quarters look different depending on your seasonality. You have to invest in your business as you're in this time of the year. And then, you typically have a big season in the holiday season. And then again, in the kind of January time and then in late spring. So we kind of also have to manage the peaks and valleys in the business alongside driving to profitability.
So every industry is having to contend with, some unfavorable macroeconomic, factors, whether it's interest rates, whether it's some layoffs happening across the board. How is Tonal managing the current unfavorable economic landscape?
Yeah. So it means you have to get really smart about how you operate as a business. So for example, for us, what that means is, our product is made for somebody that is already interested in fitness, practicing fitness, particularly interested in strength, is a strength trainer, or does strength training, wants a product or device in their home to make their lives easier. And so there's a ton of those people out there. So for us, it's all about being much more targeted and being smart about the customer that we're going after and the customer that we want to find. So if we think about, there's macroeconomic pressures, that we're in very interesting times macroeconomically. It's very hard to kind of quite pinpoint exactly where the consumer is. There's still, strength in savings. There's still strength in consumer spend. There has been a shift, I'm sure other people have talked about it, in consumer spending toward experiences. Absolutely, coming out of COVID, that's very much the case. I feel like it was the summer of Taylor Swift and Beyonce and all kinds of fun stuff that were focused on experiences. But so you have to kind of keep that in mind, like where the consumer's at mentally and emotionally, and the things that they prioritize and focus on, and be focused on finding those customers that your product is for. And so I think for all of us in this space, really keeping that in mind goes a long way towards managing that landscape.
I guess I feel so culturally irrelevant. I didn't see Taylor Swift or Beyonce. I don't know. I'm not even sure I knew they were performing.
Really?
Everyone wanted the Taylor Swift tickets. At least the people I know. So you and I have had many off-the-record conversations, and I know you don't like when I use the term connected fitness as it relates to Tonal. But why is that? Here, for the audience, why is Tonal not quote unquote a connected fitness company, and how do you classify it?
Yeah, I mean, on a big scale level, certainly you can classify us as connected fitness. But when I think about what we're really trying to accomplish, for me, connected fitness can be more about connecting to an in-class experience. It's like replicating the origin of it, was replicating an in-studio experience in your home in a digital way, right? That is fundamentally not what Tonal is trying to do. We're not trying to create this class experience where you're connected from a community perspective. Not that community isn't important, but that's like not the core of what we're trying to do. Instead, we have a very different philosophy. Instead, we are trying to bring intelligent strength to the market. So what that means is, what do I need to get the best out of myself from a strength training perspective, right? So that means what we bring to the table with hardware that's very, very different than any other hardware really honestly out in the market is that we can create an entire gym, right, in a small amount of space. We can tailor the weight training specifically to the individual. We can put compelling content that keeps you going and moving forward. We can use performance science to build programs that enable the customer to achieve milestones over the course of several workouts, to build those programs one upon another. So it becomes all about developing an intelligent experience as opposed to just a connected experience. So we're really trying to move the whole industry forward and leverage the intelligence that comes with AI, with performance science, that we can be uniquely delivered through this particular device. So it's just a very different philosophy. There's room for all these philosophies, right? There's room for all of it, but it's just a different philosophy about the kind of company that we are and what we're trying to build.
That makes a lot of sense. This is a little bit more delicate question, but I'd be curious, what are conversations like in the boardroom right now? A lot of big fitness brands are moving away from hardware. They're in favor of digital content. Does this change your strategy at all? Do you lean more into content moving forward? Just curious to hear what you think about this.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, we're very fortunate that our board is very dedicated and devoted to this business and the way that we look at things. I think what Tonal does is really uniquely dependent on the hardware. So there's not a content experience that can be replicated without the hardware, which is actually quite different than a lot of other things in the market, where you could take an app, you can take an experience, you can put it on a bike, any bike really, you can put it on any rower, et cetera, whether looking at an iPad or a phone, and you can create kind of the combination of those two things together. That's not what Tonal is. I mean, because the class is so integrated into the hardware experience, it's just not something that you can completely disaggregate. And that, while that does create some limitations from a user perspective, like you can't port your Tonal to your hotel when you go travel. The thing about content is there's lots of fitness content. There's always been lots of fitness content out there. I mean, I remember being a kid doing my mom's, Jane Fonda videos, right, on the TV. Like, we're talking about an industry that's existed for a really long time with digital or with just content. So for us, it's about staying the course on what we think, where we believe there's significant differentiation for us, which is taking people who are very focused on fitness and bringing the best of a strength experience to them, rather than just kind of churn from a content perspective, right?
I think it's very hard to take strength training on the road. Like you said, you can't pack up barbells and put it in your suitcase. So I think, and look, I think a lot of the mistakes you see so many businesses, it's not just in the fitness industry, is every time, a trend changes, they pivot. There's something to be said to staying true to your core values and your core ethos. And, things change, but if you, over the long haul, you find your core customers and you serve them. So I think I owe you like a royalty, because you said something on the phone last time and I've been using it a lot. So you said, watch trend lines, not headlines. I thought it was clever. And so, I forget the exact context of which you said it, but why did you say that? Or when would you say that? This is an industry that loves the headlines.
Right. every industry loves headlines. And by the way, the credit to that quote is actually, I think, originally attributed to Bill Clinton, but also Bill Gates is famous for using that quote. So I would like to not take any royalties from that because I did not invent it. And in fact, the where I've seen it used, actually, Bill Gates has used it in the context of global health, which I think is really interesting, and just around how you read headlines and there's all kinds of challenges that remain from a global health perspective. But if you actually look at the trend lines around treatments around major diseases and just overall poverty alleviation, et cetera, you see, and I happen to be interested in global health, so have watched that. That's where that comes from. But I think the reason I like this concept of the trend lines, not the headlines, is, to your point, fitness can be very faddish. Fitness can be, it just is. It kind of always has been, and it can be. And COVID was just such an interesting period for all of us that are leaders in this space, right? Because there was so much demand that was pulled forward, or even demand that maybe people who were on the fence about certain types of products kind of went over the fence because of just the circumstances of life. But I think what's so important to step back and realize is the trend line, and everybody's pulling back. I talked about Taylor Swift. Okay, they're spending money going to Taylor Swift concerts, right? And it's just like the in-home fitness space is just kind of recovering, I think, from this pull forward of COVID demand. From a trend line perspective, if you think about the macro trends, so much investment in health and wellness. Consumers are so aware and thinking about, how do I advance my own health and wellness? Fitness is a big part of that, and that's a massive growth segment in our industry. There's so much science and data, especially around strength, supporting the importance of strength over time. They say roughly kind of from the age of 40 on, 45 or so, and especially for women, you can lose 1% of your muscle mass a year, up to 1% a year as you begin to age. And also that as that happens, you become more susceptible, obviously, to injury, to illness, et cetera, et cetera. So the role of strength in human health is also, from a trend line perspective, awareness around that is growing. So when I sort of step back and I think about this space, it's really important that there's to have this long-term view that strength is really, really critical for human well-being and longevity and quality of life. In America, we are just going to continue to invest because we recognize the importance of it into health and wellness. So that for me is the big trend line, not the headline that I focus on.
Yeah, I should be careful what I say, because obviously I run a media company, but I always tell people, when you're a headline, the good, you have to make it great, and the bad, you have to make it horrible. The truth is somewhere in the middle, but it's always a sensationalized headline because that's how you bring people in. That's how you engage them to read. That's not always like the actual data. That's not the actual trend that's going on. I'm very curious. And now that we settled into, I guess people are calling it the post-pandemic life, how and where are Tonal's customers working out?
Yeah, great question. So we see so much amazing continued engagement with our customers, and I thought it'd be fun. I brought some statistics. So if I look down, it's because I'm sharing some statistics with the audience here. So to date, we've had 150 billion pounds lifted in Tonal, which is awesome. And by the way, a Tonal pound is heavier than a regular pound, so it's actually quite a bit more than that. So we've had 500 million reps performed on the device. And we're seeing an average customer workout that a member's lifting about 7,500 pounds. So in an average workout. So these workouts are about 30 to 35 minutes. That's about the average, because we have quite a bit of variation. And also with strength, you can kind of take things at your own pace. So about 30 to 35 minutes. And members are just continuing to work out. We do see, I think this is really interesting and not surprising with human behavior, we see a Monday surge. So people wake up Monday morning, they're determined to have a good week. They start to fall off in their activity by the end of the week. I think that's no surprise. And then they kind of come back on Mondays, back and ready to go. So that's another sort of fun fact of the behavior that we see. So hopefully that's some fun facts, but we are seeing lots and lots of strong engagement from our members. I guess I have a few more, actually. I'll share a few more. So We ask our members about their goals. Are you trying to build muscle, get lean, et cetera? We find building muscle is a top goal. I think that goes along with who our customer base is. Very strong on building muscle. We're about 60-40 male female, although we do see some variation in that from a workout perspective, but about 60-40. And we find that most of our users identify as intermediate users. So they're kind of, they don't necessarily classify themselves as advanced. And we find that like when they feel like they're intermediate, they're kind of onboarding onto Tonal to get to that next level of advanced users. So just kind of some fun facts about our product and users.
I don't know if you have any more data on that piece of paper,
Yeah,
but
lots of data.
to go a little bit more granular,
Yeah.
does it change based on demographic? Does it change based on age, maybe even location?
Yeah. So we do see differences between gender, women and men. We definitely see women do more strength and yoga on the platform. We do see them, sort of less towards our kind of more hardcore weight, on the advanced weight training and building muscle side of things. So we definitely see gender differences, although not, it's not like not to stereotype. That is just kind of in an aggregate on average what we see. We see our average, our customer is just kind of high level. We tend to have customers that are settled in homes, but you think of us as like this in-home equipment that it seems like it might on the surface be for city dwellers and urban areas, and we certainly have that demographic of a customer, but our core demographic is actually suburbanites in affluent areas, high income areas that are just focused on fitness. But we serve all demographics. I mean, that's the thing is, while we definitely are clear on who our customer is, we have programming for beginners. We have programming, we have a mix of programming with all kinds of different classes. I personally like a lot of our mobility programming because I do need to do more stretching and more balance work as I'm getting kind of older in my 40s, and just that sort of age range from a female perspective, I find to be really good. So we serve all kinds of different demographics.
And just on the topic of data, like there was a period of time, obviously, when we couldn't leave our house to go to a gym. So this was the only solution. Are you seeing now, is your core customer, is it a hybrid approach? Are they using Tonal a few days a week? Are they in real life a few days a week? Are these people die hard? Are they majority using Tonal? Like,
we don't have a complete data set actually to answer that question. However, we listen to our members, we talk to our members, and we definitely have a mix. We have customers that are very much diehard. But then we also have customers that Tonal for them is a means to an end. So they're a golfer, they're a tennis player, they want to run a marathon. So they have some kind of fitness goal in mind, and Tonal enables them to help achieve that goal. So it plays a role in sort of this enablement of life. So we really have both. And so we kind of think of those people. There's we in our sort of segmentation, there's the people that are they're focused on fitness because it's like it's all about that experience. They feel great when they're working out. They love the way it feels. It feels great when they're done. Their whole focus is on that. And then we have this other segment that is all about results. So they are doing this strength training because they're trying to kind of have a set of results that they want. And it's a means to an end. So we kind of have both segments represented.
So I noticed that, a couple years ago, Tonal had a very, very aggressive top of the funnel marketing strategy. Has that changed at all? How do you go about acquiring new customers?
Yeah, we've absolutely changed it. I mean, so the long gone are the days of, buying lots of ads on TV to tell the world about Tonal. I think we're just not sort of at that stage from a growth perspective and from an economic perspective. From a financial perspective, that doesn't make sense for us. So I talked a lot about who our customer is. If you think about what I said, it's not everybody, right? It's just not. And So we want to help. We want to go find the people that Tonal resonates with, and that are they're just. It's a considered purchase. It takes a long time to make that decision. I can't tell you how many people in my own personal life that I meet, and they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I run this company called Tonal." They're like, "I've been thinking about getting one of those for the last couple of years," and I'm like, "Why don't you get one?" And then they meet me, and then they get one. But the point is it's a considered purchase. People really think about it for a while, and they think about how does it fit their lives, and can they put it on the wall, and all these things. And we're okay with that. We understand that it's a big decision. It's a big purchase decision. And so we are all about finding them from a marketing perspective and helping them understand what Tonal can do for them. So it's just a totally different go-to-market approach.
It makes a lot of sense too. I mean, with first party data, the more you understand your customer and the more you could target them, it's just the way of the world right now. So a big topic, over the past, couple of days has been AI and how AI is really, I don't want to say changing, but what role will AI have in the fitness and wellness industry? How is AI changing the way Tonal does business?
Mhm. So, I mean, first, let's start with AI. Always starts with your data set, right? We have a great data set. So, 5 years worth of complete data collection on weight training, which I think is unparalleled in our space. Has to be unparalleled in our space because we capture everything. We capture the movement, the reps. Did you struggle with movement? Did you struggle with the last rep? Did we have to turn on spotter mode and give you a spot? All of this data is completely and utterly captured, and we know a lot about you. We are very just so for our customers out there, very conscientious from a privacy perspective. Everything is appropriately treated and anonymized and all of that. But because we have this great data set, we are able to drive insights out of it. And so when you think about the applications of artificial intelligence, which the world is exploding with the applications of it, we are very much focused on taking this incredible data set that we have, but making it useful for our members. It's not about technology for the sake of technology. It's all about saying, like, how can we use this data to get our members better workouts with more results, and make it easier for them, right? Like easier from an interface perspective, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot happening behind the scenes right now that's feeding into the recommendations that we put in front of you, and that sort of front end experience that is driven by AI, on the back end to help make the product more effective and useful for our members.
So I want to be mindful of your time. Just one more question. Look, there's no surprise when you're a market leader, everyone tries to copy you, right? So I see a lot of copycat at home digital strength training companies popping up, but it does seem you guys are the OG in the space. How do you separate yourself from these new competitors?
So, yeah, we are the OG. I think we have far superior technology and capabilities, hundreds and hundreds of patents, completely unique system. I also think it's the fact that it's not just our technology and our patents, but that combined with the performance science and the teams combined with the coaches and the trainers that we put on camera that are terrific, that creates this really best in class experience. There really are tons of copycats out there, and their product is not superior to ours. In fact, they're often very inferior. And quite honestly, truly, the other thing is customer service. We are here in the US. We are just like fully distributed on like we do our own distribution. We are responsible for the whole customer experience end to end. And we take ownership of that. And we're very focused on making sure we deliver a great experience end to end from order to install, to ongoing maintenance. It's not perfect. Things fail, things break. We have to work really hard to try to do that, but we're very committed to doing that. And that is not the case for many of our competitors in the market.
So, Krystal, I really appreciate you taking the time, and I'll tell you, and I'm not just saying this because we're talking right now, but every conceivable fitness product that exists has like passed my desk probably in the past year in the form of a press release, like dumbbells on wheels, connected, you name it. There's someone out there trying to pitch it. If there's one product I'm on that list of like, I think I want to buy it. The other night I came home from the office. It's like 9:30. I'm like, do I really want to go to Equinox? I take out the resistance bands. It's good, but I wish I had, because I recently used one of your machines when I was on a business trip. They had it in the gym. I was like, I really wish I could just go behind me and get that quality workout that I would have if I had that in my house. So credit to you and the team. You're doing a great job.
Thanks.
And, I hope you'll join us again. We want to continue to hear from you and Tonal on this journey. And congratulations on all the success, and hope you join us soon.
Thanks very much. It was nice to be with you, Eddie. And we can help you with that problem. We're more than happy to get you hooked up with the Tonal in your home.
That would be fantastic. I would
Wonderful.
love that.